What is going on, guys? How's everyone doing tonight? Just going to wait and see who all wants to join us here. Hope you guys are all healthy amidst this coronavirus outbreak that is plaguing large portions of the country. And we've been watching as Trump I think he's been heading up a pretty good effort to spearhead the response. And one of the things that Trump has done that I feel is just extremely important when it comes to spearheading a response like this is the fact that he has embraced the private sector. He has embraced the private sector to a point where people should be looking at this and saying, we don't need we don't need to run to government to handle all of these things. When we have a crisis, the first thing that we should be doing is saying, how can we let the free market, capitalism, and the private sector come in and come to the rescue? Because when you have the private sector and the free market come to the rescue, you're going to get the best possible product because competition breeds success. It breeds ingenuity. And that's what we get when we look at the private sector and the free market. Government runs things, and 9 times out of 10, they run things into the ground, especially given the fact that the government that we have has so much regulation, so much red tape, and so much bureaucratic nonsense that nothing's going to get done. So, and then we look to government right now for the relief bill. We have this whole coronavirus thing right now that's plaguing the country has shut down large portions of the country, and we're looking to government right now, and it's unfortunate, but I kind of feel like it's a necessary evil, unfortunately, because we don't really have much else to fall back on right now because everything is shut down, businesses are shut down, people are not able to work. It's not that they're not, well, I guess you could say they're not allowed to work because everything's being shut down. In New Jersey here, I live in northern New Jersey, and we actually have a curfew in effect. They're basically discouraging any travel after 8:00. I went out the other night for a drive, and it was like 10:10. Don't tell anybody. It was like 10:30. I went out for a drive, and there was nobody on the road. It was eerie. It was actually creepy being out on the road around 10 o'clock at night on like a normal weeknight. Northern New Jersey is a pretty bustling area, and there was nobody to be found. But nonetheless, I don't know if you guys are aware that the Senate has unanimously passed a $2 trillion spending bill. $2 trillion. And like I was saying, that I hate to see government step in and start spending money like this because you have to ask the question, where is this money going to come from? And of course, we need the help right now, obviously, but nobody dares to step in and say, where is this going to come from and what is this going to do to the economy in the long run? But amidst all of this back and forth and hoopla over this coronavirus stimulus bill, the Democrats just can't help themselves. Hey, how's it going in Texas? Barbara, how are you? And by the way, guys, if you guys want to share out the video, please feel free to do so. I want to get as many people on here as I can. And if you want to retweet it and share it on Facebook and whatnot, please feel free to do so. But back to the bill here, they've been tossing this around now for quite some time, the stimulus bill. I'm not happy about it. Who pays you? Yeah, exactly. Exactly, Barbara. You and me are the ones that are going to be footing the bill when push comes to shove. And amidst all of this back and forth, the Democrats have been attempting to hijack this bill. And here's a little bit of what exactly is going on. You go back to the famous words of Rham Emanual, and he explains that, you never let a crisis go to waste. And this mindset is at the heart of of almost everything Democrats do. You go back to when you had school shootings and things like that take place. What is the first thing that Democrats want to do? They want to come after the guns and they want to implement gun control. They want to utilize the crisis to push gun control whenever there's a mass shooting of any kind. Right now, we're dealing with this coronavirus, and we're relying on Congress to pass a bill to come to the aid of the American people who aren't able to work. And what are they doing? They're trying to jam this bill with so much pork barrel spending nonsense crap. And you have the media out there talking about how it's the Republicans that are dragging their feet, and they misconstrue everything. And they put Chuck Schumer on there and Pelosi and all these idiots on there, and you're not getting the actual real story as to what is going on in Congress right now. I hate this bill. It's a bunch of fat. Exactly. And it says every time a country faces a crisis, real or perceived, there's a rush in Congress to pass massive bills that go far beyond responding to the matter at hand. And they can't just pass a bill and say, okay, this is just going to be directly focused on helping the American people in this time of crisis. This is just going to be directly focused on that one particular thing. And all the bills are phone book sized. I think they said this bill was 800 to 1,100 pages. How do you need 1,100 pages to outline how you're going to come to the aid of the American people in this time of need? I can't fathom how you need 1,100 pages to outline that type of plan. And obviously, it says the acts are too long and detailed for any legislator to read and fully comprehend. And this goes back to the idea that, Pelosi's famous words, you have to pass it to see what's in it. And we obviously need this bill to pass soon because the economy is kind of hinging upon this bill right now. The market's been up and down. It's been up 1,000, down 1,000, up 2,000, down 1,500, nonstop. And we need something to sort of stabilize the market right now. And this could hopefully be what we need to kind of stabilize the market for the time being, hopefully. And these politicians, it doesn't affect them. They don't give a crap whether or not this bill passes because they're still going to get paid and they're not going to have to worry about a damn thing, regardless of how many people are out of business, how many businesses are shut down, and how many people are being furloughed and actually laid off amidst this crisis. So the latest example of this newly introduced House version of the, quote, Take Responsibility for Workers and Families Act, intended to afford stimulus and stability in the face of the economic crisis fomented by COVID-19. The bill may provide some form of succor to the economy, but in the words of the Majority Whip, James Clyburn, this crisis is also, quote, a tremendous opportunity to restructure things to fit our vision. That right there, that's what the media should be reporting on. The Democrat Majority Whip came right out and said, this is a tremendous opportunity to restructure things to fit our vision. Not to help the American people, not to come to our aid, not to provide some sort of stimulus to get the economy going once this virus passes. They want to use this crisis to restructure things to fit their vision. And what is their vision? Many of them, their vision is that Green New Deal nonsense, and they're looking at this as a way to push their Green New Deal and all the bullshit that is included in that. So in other words, coronavirus gives good cover to impose progressive requirements on stricken businesses and a society eager to see government simply act and fast. So we need government to act and fast. And they're using this coronavirus as a cover to impose progressive requirements on businesses. So the economy's been booming because Trump has effectively cut the red tape and basically reduced the regulations and allowed the free market to thrive. And they're looking at this coronavirus crisis as a way to push these regulations back on businesses using this coronavirus relief legislation bill. Yeah, we got had. Absolutely. Absolutely, we got had. So you talk about liberal special interests here. This is some of the crap they're trying to shove into this bill. They're trying to impose racial and gender pay equity provisions, diversity on corporate boards, increased use of minority-owned banks by federal offices, a grab bag of other diversity-themed requirements. And by the way, this is coming from USA Today. So this isn't like this is coming from Fox News or Alex Jones or any of those right-wing websites. This is coming from USA Today. So, we're constantly told, Trump calls these things fake news, but we're told that these are supposed to be legitimate news sources. So if this is what the left wants to call a legitimate news source, then why isn't there any outrage on the left about all this nonsense being pushed into this bill and it bogging down the bill when American people are dying? People are actually dying right now. This isn't a joke. People are dying right now from this virus, and it's wreaking havoc across the country. And these Democrats are worried about pushing in racial and gender pay equity provisions and other diversity-themed requirements in this bill. It increases the collective bargaining power for unions and cancels all the debt owed by the U.S. Postal Service to the U.S. Treasury. What? It's canceling debt owed by the U.S. Postal Service to the Treasury? The government owns the Postal Service. And I get it, there may be debts owed amongst that, but isn't that kind of just like robbing Peter to pay Paul in a way? It's the government no matter how you slice it. So it says for the global warming crowd, there are increased fuel emission standards and required carbon offsets for airlines. What the hell does this have to do with the stimulus bill? And then you have tax credits for alternative energy programs as well. Again, nothing to do with the stimulus bill. For the kids, there is a provision for student loan payment deferment. That I could kind of understand, the student loan payment deferment, only because I'm trying to pay my student loans right now, and it's kind of hard when you don't have, thank God I'm still gainfully employed amidst this crisis right now, but if I were to lose my job, I wouldn't be able to pay my student loans right now. So a deferment for student loans, I couldn't understand. And then it says, and for the education bureaucrats who overcharge them a $9.5 billion giveaway to colleges and universities. Again, what the hell does that have to do with this coronavirus relief package? How is that going to help Main Street mom and pop shops with a $9.5 billion giveaway to colleges and universities? Colleges and universities aren't in need of any money. I can promise you that. When kids are paying $100,000, $200,000 for a 4-year degree at a college. And then finally, it gives $100 million to juvenile justice programs and suspends various aspects of enforcement of Oh, great. It's going to suspend various aspects of enforcement of immigration laws. So again, we're in the midst of a pandemic and we want to suspend various aspects of enforcement of immigration laws. So let's just throw open the border while we're in the middle of a pandemic and we have no idea who's coming across the border and what kind of diseases they might be carrying, including the coronavirus. So perhaps the most troubling sections of the bill are under the rubric American Coronavirus COVID-19 Election Safety and Security, or Access Act. This section would impose requirements on states for early voting, voting by mail, required mailing of absentee ballots to everyone, ballot harvesting, i.e. having third parties deliver absentee ballots, online voter registration, same-day registration, and other practices which undermine confidence in the integrity of the ballot. In these days of increasing threats to election security, we should be moving rapidly back to in-person paper ballots, but this bill would be a radical step in the wrong direction. So you move from what we were talking about before with trying to go after businesses and impose diversity-themed requirements and things like that to going after the election now, going after the election system. And this is something that the Democrats have been dying to do. They have been looking to get a crisis that they could exploit so they could change voting laws. And if this were to go into effect and they were to start doing vote by mail, ballot harvesting, using third parties to deliver absentee ballots, that would be the end of legitimate elections in this country, if you ask me. Because the voter fraud is already rampant in some areas. Some areas you still have dead people on voter rolls, and you have no idea what exactly is going on in some of these localities when it comes to voting. And this would just destroy our voting system in this country. It absolutely would. So it is hard quickly to root out whatever other aspects of this bill bear no relationship to COVID-19. But to its backers, that is the point. We can't really know what's in it until they pass it, to paraphrase Speaker Pelosi on another such memorable occasion. Yeah, exactly. We're not going to know what's in this bill until they pass it at this point, because we need the bill to pass. They're not good. You can't tell me that they are going to be able to really read, digest, and comprehend between 800 and 1100 pages of gobbledygook nonsense when we need this bill to pass right now. We really, truly do. So it says the politics of the Democratic proposal are not hard to figure. Democrats are concerned that the coronavirus crisis could be a, quote, 9/11 moment for President Trump. And again, this is another aspect of this debacle and this crisis that we're going through. They're doing whatever they can to put this on Trump. They're playing politics with it, and they want to use it to go after the president. They're trying to criticize every aspect of what he's doing. And rather than come together, they're driving political divisions. They always lecture about bipartisanship. Right now, they're the ones driving the divide. So they're saying it could be a 9/11 moment for President Trump, and that people might put aside partisanship for a moment to rally around a leader trying his best to help the country cope. Do we no longer have line item veto? I'm not sure about line item veto. I think that comes and goes by each Congress. I'm not completely sure if that's the case or not. So anyway, bipartisanship derailed. In fact, a more bipartisan stimulus measure had been negotiated over several days in the Senate and was headed towards a key procedural vote when it was stopped dead Sunday at Pelosi's urging and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer's obeisance. President Trump criticized the New York Times for allegedly giving the Democrats cover on stopping progress by running 3 successive headlines about the impasse in the Senate. The first 2 correctly blaming Democrats, and the third shifting blame to the more vague partisan divide. But there was no divide on the issue until Pelosi decided to create it. And of course, it goes back to Pelosi creating the divide. Trump said that coronavirus was a hoax, so why worry? Trump didn't. Again, that's part of the fake news. Trump did not say the coronavirus was a hoax. He said that the Democrats are using it as a means to go after him, and that what the Democrats were doing was a hoax. Yeah, absolutely. Democrats are snakes. They're absolutely snakes. They're using this crisis and they're exploiting it at the behest of the American people in an actual time of real need. So they're exploiting this crisis, plain and simple. So Democrats seek to feed Republicans a crisis response bill packed with poison pills, placing them in a no-win situation. Either they go along with this nonsense, handing the bill to Trump to sign, or if Republicans push back, it leads to another round of chest beating and blame coming from Democrats and the media, and the markets continue to collapse. But this attempt to either humiliate or hamstring the president is so bold, so obvious, so opportunistic, and so reckless in this time of crisis that it can hardly succeed. Americans want to see bipartisanship. They want strong leadership, and they want the cure to the crisis to not be worse than the disease. Exactly. When Trump was talking about the cure not being worse than the disease, this is likely what he was referring to. Because this not instant cure, but this near future cure can have long-term ramifications. $2 trillion for all these different things, and in whatever type of legislation they might manage to push through during this crisis can have long-term ramifications and things that we can be dealing with for, 5-10 years down the road. So playing political games, excuse me, as many people watch their jobs vanish, their businesses collapse, and their life savings evaporate while they sit in quarantine, and as others sicken and die, is not just bad politics for Democrats, it is simply bad for everyone. So there you have it, guys. This is what the Democrats are doing right now. This is the game they're playing, and please, guys, share this out, and we need to get the word out there and let people know what's really going on when it comes to this stimulus bill, because the regular media, the fake news, whatever you want to call them, they are not putting out the truth when it comes to this bill, and they're using it as a political football to go after Republicans, and to try and take down the president. So keep that in mind, guys, when you watch. They said that the Senate unanimously passed the $2 trillion bill just a little while ago. So this is going to be in the news for a while. So we got to get the word out there and get the truth out there, because right now we're not getting it from the mainstream media. So if you guys share this out, please feel free to follow me on Twitter at millennial_con_. It's right on the thing. It's on my handles right up there on the video feed here. So, and then you can also check me out on Facebook at facebook.com/millennialconservative. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great night.